The year is 1875. You are standing on the deck of a majestic, side-wheel steamboat churning its way up the Mississippi. As the morning mist peels away, a silhouette emerges, not just a city, but a rising empire of brick and iron. This is St. Louis, the fourth city, and for a traveler in the Gilded Age, it was the most chaotic and opulent site in the American interior. Through our AI restoration, look at the water first. It isn't the quiet river we know today. It is a forest of smokestacks. Hundreds of steamboats are moored 10 deep against the levee, their hulls bumping like restless giants. Step off the gangplank and onto the St. Louis levee. The cobblestones are buried under mountains of cargo, barrels of Midwestern flour, hogsheads of tobacco, and stacks of shimmering lead. This was the era before the locomotive fully conquered the continent, a time when the river was king and St. Louis was its throne. As you look up, your eyes are drawn to the structure that changed the world, the Eads Bridge. Even in 1875, its 3 massive steel arches looked like science fiction. Our restoration highlights the intricate lattice of the steelwork, glowing in the morning sun, a brilliant contrast to the soot-stained brick of the riverfront. Beyond the bridge, the city rises in a dense phalanx. We walk up from the levee, passing through Old St. Louis. Here, narrow streets echo French colonial roots, but the cast-iron storefronts reflect a city outgrowing its skin. You pass the old cathedral, a stone witness looking tiny compared to the massive warehouses. As we move west, the grit gives way to grandeur. Streets widen and wood-plank sidewalks turn to smooth stone. You see the first signs of unimaginable wealth, horse-drawn omnibuses carrying men in silk top hats and women in sweeping Victorian gowns. Our restoration allows us to see their faces, the soot on a stoker's cheek, the glint of a gold watch chain. They are all here because St. Louis is the door to the future. The energy is infectious, the ambition is boundless, and our journey into the heart of the gateway has only just begun. Walking west from the river, the cobblestones give way to paved boulevards and the birthplace of the modern American skyline. We are now on Washington Avenue, the spine of the garment district and the financial nerve center known then as the Wall Street of the West. Our restoration highlights the sheer verticality that began to define this era. Look at the Wainwright Building, completed in 1891. Designed by the legendary Louis Sullivan, this is one of the world's first true skyscrapers. While other architects were trying to make tall buildings look like stacked traditional houses, Sullivan embraced the height. Our AI brings out the intricate deep red terracotta friezes and the soaring vertical columns that made this building a masterpiece of the St. Louis School of Architecture. The street level is a hive of Gilded Age activity. Electric streetcars, a brand new technology, spark and hum as they zip past, replacing the slower, horse-drawn omnibuses. This area was the global center for the shoe industry. It was said that St. Louis shod the world. Massive wholesale houses like the Couple Station complex moved more freight than many entire cities. Notice the window displays in our restored footage. They are opulent, filled with the latest fashions from Europe, signaling that St. Louis was no longer a frontier outpost, but a cosmopolitan rival to New York. The men on these sidewalks carry the weight of industrial empires, and the buildings they commissioned, built of Missouri red granite and brick, were designed to last for centuries. But while Washington Avenue was built for business, the wealth it generated was moving even further west, toward the private palaces of the city's elite. As we move away from the soot and steel of the business district, the atmosphere shifts. We are entering the private places, a concept unique to St. Louis urban planning. In the Gilded Age, the city's wealthiest citizens didn't just build houses, they built gated kingdoms. Our AI restoration takes us behind the limestone pillars of Lucas Place and Van Deventer Place, where the industrial kings of the West resided. Look at the architecture here. These aren't just homes, they are stone fortresses of status. We see the Campbell House, restored to its 1880s glory. Inside, our restoration highlights the wow factors. Heavy velvet draperies, gas-lit chandeliers dripping with crystal, and intricate woodwork carved from rare mahogany. This was a world of strict social ritual. You can almost see the carriages pulling up for the veiled prophet balls, with debutantes in silk gowns stepping onto the pristine stone curbs. These neighborhoods were designed to be silent, leafy escapes from the chaotic city. The private place model meant the residents owned the street itself, allowing them to block out the noise of the streetcars and the dust of the common trade. Notice the meticulous gardens and the uniformed staff visible in the background of our footage. While the Riverfront was the engine of St. Louis, these enclaves were the trophy room. But even this level of neighborhood opulence was about to be overshadowed by a project so massive it would put the entire city on the global stage. The 1904 World's Fair. We have reached the pinnacle of the St. Louis Gilded Age. In 1904, the eyes of the world turned to Forest Park for the Louisiana Purchase Exposition. Our AI restoration transforms the dusty archives into a glowing technicolor dream. This was the Ivory City, a temporary metropolis of over 1,500 buildings spread across 1,200 acres. The centerpiece is the Palace of Electricity, shimmering with thousands of incandescent bulbs at a time when most of the world still relied on candlelight. Look at the Grand Basin, where the massive cascades tumble down into the water. Through our restoration, you can see the sheer scale of the crowds. 20 million people visited this site, many seeing a car, an airplane, or an X-ray machine for the very first time. But it wasn't just technology, it was culture. This is where the world met. You see the Pike, the entertainment strip, where the Ferris wheel, standing 264 feet tall, offered a bird's-eye view of the future. Our restoration also allows us to look at the more complex parts of the fair, such as the living exhibits of indigenous peoples from around the globe, reflecting the complicated imperialist views of the era. As we fly over the restored fairgrounds, remember that almost all of this was built of staff, a mixture of plaster and hemp fiber designed to look like marble but intended to be temporary. Only the St. Louis Art Museum, sitting atop Art Hill, was built of permanent stone. The fair was a beautiful, fleeting ghost, the ultimate expression of a city that believed it had reached the summit of civilization. Through these restored images, we don't just see the past, we see the DNA of the city. We see a place that was built to lead, built to last, and brought back to life, one frame at a time. Imagine standing at the heart of the city's protection in 1890 Fire Station No. 7. Horse-drawn power thunders onto the cobblestones as Fire Engine No. 7 races against time in a world of iron and smoke. This view shows Olive Street in the year 1910, a bustling morning on the 7th Street sidewalk where the city's early skyscrapers begin to cast their shadows. This view shows 6th and Locust Streets in the year 1900. Pedestrians weave through the morning light at 6th and Locust, a city on the rise at the new century's dawn. This view shows Market Street in the year 1910, the Market Street Grocery Company, a vital pulse point of daily life and the simple rhythms of a bygone era. This view shows North Tucker Boulevard and Washington Avenue in the year 1910. Grand masonry and wide avenues define this intersection, capturing the architectural peak of the gateway to the west. Imagine standing at the heart of St. Louis's legacy in 1910, the Jefferson Memorial Building, a marble phantom against the greenery, looking south from de Boliviere into the hallowed grounds of Forest Park. This view shows Compton and Chouteau Avenues in the year 1915. The iron and brick of Shuto Avenue stand as a testament to the industrial spirit that built this city. This view shows North Broadway in the year 1910. Closer to Barden, a railroad bridge arches over the street, a steel symbol of a nation becoming smaller and more connected. Imagine standing at the heart of Forest Park in 1920, the St. Louis Art Museum, a neoclassical crown atop Art Hill, standing silent and grand over the changing seasons of the park. This view shows North Grand and Garfield in the year 1925. The southwest corner comes alive with the hum of the roaring 20s and the growing energy of the city. This view shows the junction of Lindell and Olive in the year 1925. Modernity takes hold at the Dell Home Light Company and the New Plaza Hotel, glowing with New Age electricity. This view shows 6th Street in the year 1906. Looking south from Lucas Avenue, the narrow street is a canyon of brick and the echoes of busy commerce. Imagine standing at the heart of the Mississippi in 1900, the Merchant's Bridge. The steamboat Spread Eagle glides beneath the iron span, a graceful remnant of the river's golden age. This view shows 12th Street in the year 1910. Looking north from Olive, the wide boulevard serves as a grand stage for the city's early 20th century life. Imagine standing at the heart of Lafayette Park in 1912. The footbridges, quiet moments by the pond, where ornate bridges offer a peaceful escape from the industrial thrum nearby. Imagine standing at the heart of the Riverfront in 1912, the Cotton Blossom Floating Theatre. A world of music and drama arrives by water, bringing the magic of the stage to the St. Louis levee. This view shows Lindell Boulevard in the year 1915. Looking west from Spring Avenue, the street opens into a vista of elegant homes and burgeoning prestige. Imagine standing at the heart of Union Boulevard in 1915, the Washington Terrace Gate. An imposing stone gateway stands guard over one of the city's most exclusive and private enclaves. This view shows West Pine Boulevard in the year 1915. Looking east from Sarah Street, the neighborhood exudes a quiet, residential charm under a canopy of early sky. This view shows Miami Street in the year 1915. Looking east from Ohio Avenue, where the quiet residential charm of the South Side meets the morning sun. This view shows Olive Street in the year 1915, a glimpse east from 6th Street, capturing a downtown pulsing with the energy of a city at its peak. This view shows Prairie Avenue in the year 1915. Looking north from 20th Street, a serene, tree-lined corridor offering a breath of shade in the growing city. Imagine standing at the heart of the waterway in 1910, the River des Peres Bridge, a sturdy crossing over the river, a vital link in the city's expanding infrastructure and natural landscape. Imagine standing at the heart of botanical wonder in 1915, Shaw's Garden. The Materna statue stands amidst a sanctuary of rare beauty, a testament to the city's love for the natural world. This view shows 19th Street in the year 1900. Looking north from Dodier, where the neighborhood's brickwork reflects the sturdy working-class roots of the city. This view shows 6th Street in the year 1914. Shoppers pass the Woolworth storefront and the Strand Theatre, the flickering lights of cinema beginning to take hold. This view shows North Taylor Avenue in the year 1906, the raw dust of construction at Florissant Avenue, where the city's footprint expands into new territory. This view shows Gravois Road in the year 1914. Looking east at the River des Peres, a scene of transition between the rural outskirts and the industrial core. This view shows Delmar Boulevard in the year 1914. Viewed from Kings Highway, the boulevard stretches west, a grand thoroughfare destined to become a cultural icon. Imagine standing at the heart of Carr Street around 1910, the Globe Shaving Parlor. A group of men gathers before the shop, a simple moment of community in the old 10th Ward. This view shows the corner of 3rd Street and Lucas Avenue around 1900. A turn-of-the-century glimpse of the Riverfront district, where the city's oldest commercial routes remained firm. Imagine standing at the heart of Carondelet Park between 1900 and 1910, the fishing pond, a timeless scene of men and boys by the water escaping the city's heat for a quiet afternoon. Imagine standing at the heart of justice in 1895, the old courthouse, its iconic dome towers over the city, a witness to the historic trials that shaped the American narrative. Imagine standing at the heart of Oregon Avenue in 1894, the Tower, Grove Dairy. The morning delivery begins, a reminder of the local, neighborhood-based life that defined the lost world of St. Louis. The gateway remains open. We only need to look up to see the grandeur that once was. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lost world of St. Louis, make sure to hit the like button. It helps these historical restorations reach more people. This project was actually inspired by your comments on our previous Detroit video, so let me know in the comments, which city should we bring back to life next?